Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. In case you guys are new here, my name is Erin and I love to do all things crochet and fiber art related. And as you guys can tell, I always have my coffee with me at the start of my video. So let's go ahead, sip on this and get started. All right, so for today's video, I'm actually really excited because in case you guys couldn't tell, I have a massive haul here from Hobbii Yarns, and I'm super excited to announce that I am teaming up with Hobbii for their Here Comes the Sun campaign. And I have quite a lot of things to cover in today's video, so let's just go ahead and start off with a massive yarn haul. Thank you again to Hobbii for sending me all of these yarns. Let's go ahead and cut open this baggie and show you guys some of their new spring yarns as well as returning yarns that they have over on their website. Oh, you guys are not even ready for this. Let's just go ahead and pull out literally the first yarn from the baggie. So this very first yarn here is the Hobbii Colorina yarn, and can you guys just see the colorway on this thing? It's so stunning, super bright and vibrant colors here with a little touch of pastel shades. So like I said, this is the Colorina yarn, and this yarn is really special because it's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. And I have two skeins here in the shade number 8, and this is a DK number 3 weight yarn. So this thing is super gorgeous, and I think this is gonna pair really nicely with what I have planned for the second half of the video. So just go ahead and set this to the side. But the last thing I wanted to note about Colorina is that this is a roving style yarn. So as you guys can tell, some parts are a little bit thinner, and then does get to a thicker section of the yarn here, but super gorgeous colors here, just kind of in that purpley magenta shade with a little touch of orange and coral. So you guys know that this kind of shade palette is right up my alley. Let's go ahead and move on to some of the next yarns. So for the Here Comes the Sun campaign, they really wanted all of their artists to draw inspiration from the color yellow. And typically yellow is not really a shade that I steer towards, but honestly, when I think of Here Comes the Sun, I think of plants and growth and life and sunshine. So a lot of these shades that I picked out really kind of have to do around the color yellow and of course the color yellow itself. All right, so for this next yarn, I really wanted to pick out a bunch of different yarns that have very different fibers for them. That way our end product has a very unique and multi-fiber looking result. So this next yarn that I've picked out for this project is their rainbow bamboo yarn, and it's this super gorgeous sport weight yarn in the shade number 22. And as you guys can tell, this is a very different type of fiber from the acrylic wool mix that we picked out earlier, but this shade is so gorgeous, and again, it kind of reminds me of flowers, summery time. You know, you guys get the vibe. But this shade is a super gorgeous terracotta peachy type of shade. And as I said earlier, this is like a sport weight number 2 type of yarn. So I really wanted all of these yarns to have different weights as well as different types of fibers. But what I like so much about their rainbow bamboo yarn is I believe it is 60% bamboo viscose and 40% cotton. So unlike your standard bamboo yarn, this is actually not too slippery because it has the cotton mixed in, and thankfully there is not too much of a shine with this bad boy, so it has a really soft quality texture to it and something that's going to work up really beautiful. So again, this is the first shade that I have picked out, and next up, again in the same line of the rainbow bamboo, I picked out this really gorgeous like artichoke olivey shade, and I believe this is also in the shade number 40. So the same exact line, same number 2 sport weight yarn, but I really love this like muted plant green shade. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like foliage, so I wanted the different green shades that I picked out to have different variances again in their color. So this was shade number 40. Let's go ahead and set the rainbow bamboo to the side and show off some more gorgeous colors. Oh my gosh. All right, so my camera just died, but I'm back, and the next 2 yarns I really wanted to show to you guys. I've been dying to test out different kinds of ribbon yarn, so I really wanted to give Hobbii's ribbon yarn a go. And as you guys can see here, I have 2 different shades again around the theme Here Comes the Sun. So I've got a super bright pastel yellow, and again, this kind of just reminds me of like the bright hot sun on a nice summery day. And then to kind of contrast the other deeper like artichoke-y green shade here, I decided to pick out more of like this super bright lime green. So I believe that this green one is in the shade number 27 and my yellow yarn is in the shade number 37. So as I said earlier, this is their ribbon yarn, and this is also listed as a number 5 chunky yarn. So let's just go ahead and show you guys the thickness of this yarn, but as you guys can tell, it's definitely a ribbon type of yarn. But what I like about this is that it pretty much lies flat. So it's not super bulky, but there is a nice width to this yarn. So this is going to work up really well, and I believe this is 100% cotton. So far my shade palette is kind of looking, but so far these are all the shades that I have picked out to kind of go well with each other. I just lost that ball on the floor. So this is what we have so far, and believe it or not, I still have like 3 other yarns to show you guys. So let's just go ahead and show off more items. Ooh, this is so gorgeous. All right. These next 2 skeins of yarn that I have right here, again, are in their Colorina line. So this is the same exact line as the previous skein that I have right here, but these 2 skeins are actually in the colorway number 11. So again, this is still the 80% acrylic and 20% wool yarn. And again, I'm really just going for these super bright, sunny, vibrant colors. So what I like so much about this colorway is that there's actually a lot going on. As you guys can tell, there's kind of like this overall muted green shade that kind of runs throughout the entire skein. But here on the inside, we do get a super bright pop of coral and bright sunny yellow. And believe it or not, within this roving yarn, there's actually a little bit of like blue mixed in here with this green. So this is going to give us a really nice variance against colors such as this. And I feel like having all of these different kinds of colors is really going to make all of the yarns stand out and separate from each other. All of my yarns, again, are like different fiber mixtures. Like I said, I've got wool yarn, acrylic, I've got bamboo, cotton, and to top it off, they all have different styles. So some of these are like standard ply yarn. We've got the ribbon yarn so far. And then of course we have some multi-roving yarn. I'm so excited. I've actually never used a cake of yarn before, but this first cake of yarn is in their Dahlia line. And if you guys couldn't tell, this is a super fine yarn. I believe this is a number 2 sport weight yarn, but it's actually super thin. I can't really even pick up any of this on my finger to show you guys, but this is labeled as a number 2 fine yarn. And honestly, in my eyes, this kind of looks more like a number 1, but hopefully once I start working it up a little bit, it might work up a little bit thicker than I'm expecting. But I already know that I'm going to be a huge fan of this Dahlia yarn because this is 100% cotton. And again, for a cotton yarn, this is pretty buttery smooth. Typically in the past, the cotton yarns that I've used are kind of a little bit more rough and not so friendly on your skin, but this almost kind of feels like a mercerized type of cotton. It's definitely not labeled as such, but this is really gorgeous. And can you guys just see all of the color inside? Obviously we got that petal gorgeous pink in there, and then it kind of fades to this aqua blue color here in the middle, and then again here on the outside we have a very deep forest green. So again, just to kind of compare and contrast, look at how beautifully all of these colors go together. I freaking love it. And then next up, this next cake, which has a little bit more volume and a little bit more plush to it. This is their twister cake. And when I saw this on their website, I just about died. I mean, can you guys think of any other type of colorway that would go better with the sun and plants other than this yellow, golden, and deep forest green type of cake? So here is again the twister line, and I believe that this cake is 55% cotton and 45% acrylic. So this is definitely more of the type of yarn that I'm used to working with. You guys know I'm typically a acrylic type of gal, so this is right up my alley, but super soft. Of course, with acrylic you can't go wrong, but again, hopefully with this cotton it's going to give it a little bit more density and it won't pill on me or flake or fleece. So those are really kind of like my goals so far when I picked out this twister yarn, and it's super gorgeous. This is also listed as a number 2 fine or sport weight yarn, and I believe this has a little bit more thickness than the Dahlia yarn, but you guys can tell here it's pretty fine, a lot thinner than I'm used to working with. But can you guys just see like the marbling effect in there? These green shades are so stunning and gorgeous. I believe I still have more yarn in here. We are down to 3 different types of yarn. So let's just go ahead and wrap it up very, very quickly here. All right, I take it back. I still have 4 different yarns to show you, but this next yarn is their couture yarn. So this thing is actually 100% acrylic, but as you guys can see here, there is this super gorgeous like eyelash type of effect. So can you guys see that, how it kind of sticks out from the yarn? Definitely like an eyelash type of yarn, but definitely not as long. And although this is a 100% acrylic yarn, it does state that it has more of a scrumptious wool type of feel. So I feel like this is gonna add a really nice texture to the project that I have in mind. Again, I wanted really different types of fibers. So I've got a standard cotton acrylic type of yarn. And then for like a pop of texture and like accented highlight, I've got this really cool eyelash yarn. So I'm really excited to get into this. And then really quickly, I also have this other shade in their ribbon line. So this is more of like a stone type of shade, a lot more neutral. I kind of felt like I had so much vibrant colors going on that I needed a little bit of something to kind of balance everything out so that it's not too shocking and in your face. But I believe that this is color number 21. Again, it's like an off beige, stony type of shade. And I have 2 of these gorgeous things. Again, these are like a number 5 chunky type of yarn. All right, and last up, I have 2 different colorways in their Tweed Dreams yarn. So this stuff is super gorgeous, super fluffy and plushy. Can you guys see that? There's a lot of bulk and volume to this kind of yarn, but these 2 shades just really stood out to me. And again, they kind of scream summertime, springy, bright sun. So here, this green shade is in the color number 25, and it's this super like muted lime green with these tiny little flecks of a deeper forest green right there. And then this Tweed Dreams is in the shade number 24, and it's a lot more of like an orangey yellow again with these little speckles of deeper burnt orange. So it's super gorgeous. I love the speckling in this thing. This is a 100% premium acrylic yarn. So I'm hoping that this stuff doesn't pill on me. It feels very fluffy. Again, a lot of volume, a lot of squish. So these are all of the shades that I have to work with, but I'm loving all of these colors. Look how well they all mesh. They all kind of like stand out because they're so darn different from each other. But this is my palette, and I'm hoping to create something very in your face, outrageous and gorgeous. And I'm not too sure yet on what I'm making, but I'm feeling like I kind of want to go with like a matching set. So when I kind of figure that out, I'm going to hop here back on the camera and show you guys the progress with my project and kind of update you as I'm going. But again, thank you to Hobbii for sending me all of this yarn. You guys are so freaking sweet. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the yarn that I have to showcase to you guys for this yarn haul segment. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my progress and the project and just kind of how I'm working everything and where I'm getting all of my inspiration from. All right, now we can go ahead and finish up this really yummy coffee and just start diving into the project. All right, we're back. I have my iced coffee. I have all of my yarn available. And to start off this project, I think I'm gonna be using a 6.5mm crochet hook. I'm kind of torn about what size I need to use because as you guys saw earlier, a lot of my yarns are very different weights. So I don't really want to be changing up my hook every single row, but in order to like mesh all of these colors together, I'm probably going to double strand some of the yarns, and then some of them, like this thick ribbon one, I'm just going to stick with my 6.5, and hopefully this will be nice and tight because the project that I really want to create is inspired by Josephine Dye-Ring Knits. She's over on Instagram, and I saw this bag several weeks ago. So my goal for the Hobbii Here Comes the Sun challenge is I really want to do my best to recreate the type of style that Josephine Dye-Ring Knits has with this bag. And as you guys saw, I have so many different weights of yarn, different colors and different textures. So I really just want to create a little simple handbag that's kind of striped and just has a ton of color, a ton of texture and like super bulky and chunky. All right, so I have all of my yarn laid out in front of me, and my steps in order to make this bag, I think I just want to start off with a very basic circle in the round. And once I get the base of the circle of the bag to be, I don't know, around that big, I can start working upwards on the bag. Hello? I want to show you guys the update with my round bag so far. So as you guys can tell, I have finished up the very base of this circular bag, and now I'm starting to work like upwards on the side of the bag. So I'm pretty much creating like the body of the bag. So this is what it's looking like so far. Not too much progress. All right, so I've been working on this bag, I want to say on and off for about 2.5, almost 3 days at this point. And this is what it's looking like. I'm loving this little, I don't know, kind of stripy pattern, but you guys can tell there's so much texture with this like teddy type of yarn. I'm loving it, loving these bright colorina colors. Oh my gosh. So at this point, I think my bag is about as tall as I'd want it to be. And now I'm gonna start working on like the little handle portions. So in a second, I'm gonna go ahead and change out my yarn. I'm probably gonna throw in this really funky textured yarn again in a second. But once I get to about the center, I'm going to create a chain of about 10 or 15 and then just finish working in the round with half double crochets. But I feel like just using this little chain method right in the center is what's going to create that gap for the open handles. So this is my progress so far with the bag. I'm hoping to finish this up today and even hopefully create a matching maybe bucket hat with all of the leftover yarn. But I'm loving it. Super cute, very springy, very summer vibes. So I'm loving it. But here is what that textured yarn looks like when I add it to some bamboo sock yarn. So super cute so far. I'm just gonna continue to bust away at this. Hello, I'm just popping on here one last time to give you guys kind of like a final update. So like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to work on a bucket hat that was essentially matching the bag that I created. So here's what I've come up with so far, and I'm really close to finishing it. All I really have left is maybe about another 2 or 3 rows here on the brim of the bucket hat, but I think that it looks absolutely darling. I'm loving all of these colors, and it's actually perfect in time for spring. I'm trying to expand my color palette, so I know it doesn't look like much, but when I go ahead and pop it on, this is what she looks like on. Like I said, I still have another couple rows to finish up here with the brim, and then it'll look a lot more finalized. But just look at the amount of color that this hat has. It's freaking darling. And in case you guys are wondering how I'm creating this bucket hat, I actually have a tutorial here on YouTube on how to create a crochet bucket hat. So I'm gonna go ahead and link it there, but I'm literally following the exact same steps that I showed in the video. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up the bucket hat, and then I will give you guys the final matching set reveal. I hope you guys will like this video. Thank you again, Hobbii, for working with me. I love your yarns. Like, for real, if I'm being honest, y'all, just look at this colorina yarn. I think it's stunning. I love the texture, and this is honestly perfect for summer and spring. So let's go ahead, crochet, wrap up this video, and I'll show y'all what I've created.